Hi guys, this is gsno.com and I'm here with the unboxing of the Samsung Galaxy A51. It's the follow-up to probably the most successful mid-range phone of 2019, the Galaxy A50, and it's also the first phone launched in 2020 that we test and we unbox. Okay, so the price tag should be around $294 on Amazon for this baby, and it comes with a quad camera setup and also keeps some of the design traits of the intermediate model, because there was an intermediate model between the A50 and the A51. It was the A50s. I'm talking about the prismatic back. It's here and in a new format. Okay, so we have the white version of the phone. There are several other colors out there, and there's also Prism Crush, black, blue and pink. And this is what I was mentioning before, lots of triangles and prisms which have a pretty nifty way of catching the light. This looks like glass, it's actually plastic. The predecessor had something called glastick. Samsung no longer calls it like that. It's basically polycarbonate in a fancier way of implementation. On the sides there's also plastic, and at the front there's a glass with Gorilla Glass protection. Okay, so we also have some plastic to remove here, but we're going to do that a bit later. Okay, so it's an unboxing. Let's fire up the phone for now and then see what's inside the box. Samsung Galaxy A51 runs on Android 10 with One UI 2.0 applied on top of it, and it was unveiled in January 2020, so it's pretty fresh. As you can see, just like we saw on the Galaxy Note 10, the front selfie camera has been cut in the screen in a punch hole at the top center side. An approach also found on the Galaxy S20, Galaxy Note 10 Lite and Galaxy S10 Lite. Okay, so the boot is done. Let's see what's inside the box. I'm going to start with this envelope here. Here you can see the metal key used to access the slots. Mind you, the dual SIM version has separate nano SIM slots and separate micro SD, so they don't overlap. And here you can find the manuals. You got a quick start guide, you got a warranty card, well, the usual. We proceed further and we find this charger here with the promise of fast charging. Let's see what we got here. So it says 9 volts 1.67 amperes or 5 volts 2 amperes. Good to know. And then we find a cable. It's of the USB-C to USB-A variety, and a pair of, I would say, rather generic headphones, the most cheap kind, and plastic, and connected via 3.5mm connector. So yes, we still have an audio jack on this device. Okay, so back to the phone. The camera protrudes a bit on the back side, but not as much as on the Galaxy S20 series, according to leaks at least. And it's time to perform the setup while we are talking about the specifications. Okay, I'm going to set it in English, go to next, agreeing to stuff. So what we're dealing with here is a phone that's 7.9mm in thickness, and also it weighs 172 grams. It's got a rectangular camera module, the latest trend, which was actually inaugurated for Samsung by the Galaxy M30s. And we're back. Okay, so aside from the Gorilla Glass protection at the front side and the plastic back side, what we got here is a slimmer chin. That's the first thing I noticed. The chin here is much narrower and slimmer compared to the predecessors. Aside from that, we also have a Super AMOLED 6.5-inch screen up front with a resolution of 2400 over 1080 pixels. It's got a 20:9 aspect ratio and also a fingerprint scanner embedded in the screen. Now the processor will feel a bit familiar because it's just an incremental upgrade from the predecessor. It's the Exynos 9611. It's a 10nm chip of the octa-core variety, and accompanying it are 4 or 6 GB of RAM, as well as 64 or 128 GB of storage, plus microSD. The battery is, I would say, rather generous, and the predecessor was also pretty good in that regard, 4000 mAh. And in this cutout here, we have a 32-megapixel selfie camera. Hopefully it focuses better than the one of the predecessor. We go to the back side when we find the quad camera setup. The LED flash is here, and we also have a main 48 megapixel camera with face detection autofocus. There is a 12 megapixel ultra wide shooter, 5 megapixel macro shooter, which is a novelty for Samsung, and a 5 megapixel bokeh shooter. It does 4K video capture, which the predecessor didn't, and at the same time you also get some connectivity aspects like 4G LTE, ANT+. There is a USB-C port at the bottom, there is the speaker here, there is the audio jack here, and aside from those, well, the usual GPS, there's GLONASS, Beidou, Galileo, Wi-Fi dual band, Bluetooth 5.0 and NFC, as well as Wi-Fi Direct. In spite of having a 6.5-inch Super AMOLED screen, the device doesn't feel big. It's actually quite easy to handle, not very slippery also. Okay, we're accepting stuff. Skip, you got face recognition and fingerprint scanner for security reasons. And now it's adding the finishing touches. This is one of the longer setups, probably because I'm one of the first ones to do it. Usually it's faster nowadays. I've noticed that on the stock Android phones like Nokia or Motorola, the setup is done quite a bit faster than the ones with customized operating systems and the custom ROM on top. And now it's getting the recommended apps. Okay, Samsung account, skip. And we are all done at last. Or maybe not. No thanks. And here we go. At last. This is the interface we're waiting for. It's One UI 2.0. I see that we get Spotify and Netflix pre-installed, so if you want to have fun, that's pretty cool. Bixby Home is also here as an aggregator for your daily needs. It aggregates restaurants nearby, the Twitter feed, Facebook feed, cool videos on YouTube, and also downloadable apps which may be useful for you. Okay, swipe down, you can see some of the useful options here. These are the quick settings. There's also a link to Windows, which we had on the Galaxy Note 10. Nice to see it here. And of course, we should also have the dark mode handy here, which you can see right here. Okay, and let's go to the browser and remind me later, and let's go to gsno.com just so we can check out the keyboard, which is pretty well spaced and not hugely different from the predecessor's keyboard. Okay, so we've also done that, and now a quick look at the camera interface. Here you can select between two cameras. We got the main one and the ultra wide one. The bokeh one actually applies itself when doing portrait shots, and the macro one comes into play probably with a dedicated option. I'm saying probably. Okay, we have Bixby Vision, we have a Pro mode, we have a panorama, and macro is a dedicated option as I expected. We also have a night mode, super slow-mo, curious about that, and especially the frame rate, and a bunch of other useful options to discover over the next days as we test the phone. And also live focus for your bokeh needs with a slider for the level of blur. Okay, that's it. When everything's said and done, this has been the first contact with the Samsung Galaxy A51, and it's all about the prisms at the back side. It's all about the quad camera here, and a pretty, I would say, youthful and at the same time stylish approach to a phone which should be big on paper. In real life, not that big and quite easy to handle. This is from gsno.com. Don't forget the price, $294 on Amazon. Bye bye.